Chinese ambassador to the United States, Cui Tiankai, responded to Washington's ban on Chinese tech companies on Thursday. Speaking to reporters on the sidelines of the 5th China-U.S. Governors Forum, which kicked off in the U.S. city of Lexington, Kentucky, Cui said the negotiations between the two countries need to be based on mutual respect.
For any negotiation between countries, first, there should be sincerity. Second, it should be based on goodwill. And third, you should keep your word. If the negotiating parties can talk within the framework, they can reach a deal in a short period of time. If not, the deal cannot be reached no matter how much time is spent on it.
The ambassador made the comments after U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to ban Huawei in his country. Following his order, Google announced that it will stop cooperation with Huawei. The 5th China-U.S. Governors Forum is intended to promote subnational exchanges and understanding between the world's two largest economies. The Chinese ambassador said local-level cooperation between China and the United States is a bright spot in bilateral relations, and will become a new driver for bilateral cooperation.
China Air Transport Association announced Friday that it will support Chinese airlines seeking compensation for suspended Boeing 737 MAX 8 airplanes. The announcement came after 13 major Chinese airlines, including China Eastern Airlines, Air China, and China Southern Airlines, expressed their intention to seek compensation for the 96 Boeing 737 MAX planes grounded since March 11.
Chinese air transport companies are the biggest users of Boeing 737 MAX 8 jets. By the end of June, the suspension will have caused an estimated loss of 4 billion yuan to our member airlines.
The Secretary General said that the association will closely follow the development of this issue, and defend the just request of Chinese airlines.
We hope Boeing will honor the compensation request by our member companies, and resolve this issue lawfully and reasonably.
China was the first to halt the commercial operations of all Boeing 737 MAX 8 airplanes after a deadly Ethiopian Airlines plane crash on March 10. It was the second crash of the aircraft after one operated by Indonesia's Lion Air crashed in October last year, triggering global scrutiny and bans on operating Boeing 737 MAX aircraft.
The number of WeChat mini programs grew 300% over 2018. As a byproduct of one of the world's most widely used mobile chatting tools, the boom has been a matter of course. Experts call this a super application effect.
WeChat has an enormous user base of around 1 billion. It's carried over its good user experience to its mini programs. They have a low barrier of users in 3rd or 4th tier cities, especially the elderly. That's why WeChat mini programs have been able to have such high levels of growth within a short period.
Tech companies and developers saw the opportunity during the test for mini programs in 2016. Wang Feng is one of the first who dived in headfirst. Over the past few years, Wang's company has made 1,500 programs for more than 600 clients.
Many companies come to us to make a mini program for e-commerce, which is the most popular kind at this moment. Take Pinduoduo, for instance. It's attracted 200 million additional users since launching its own mini program. So this is an opportunity we don't want to miss.
Well, from little games like this to shopping and dining, mini programs are everywhere in our daily lives, and in the future, it may also expect more services from offline to online. Consumer buying power has awakened in smaller cities and rural areas, yet there are other needs to be met. Experts believe that mini programs with public service functions might be the next big hit.
3rd and 4th tier cities may need more online services to raise government work efficiency. These kinds of mini programs can be frequently applied in different situations. But there aren't many developers in the sector at this moment. So I'm optimistic about its development this year.
There are about 10,000 public service mini programs so far. Experts say the potential remains great. And if offline-online integration actually takes off, people may save time and money by submitting their applications via mini programs.
In the northeastern corner of the US state of Montana, just a few kilometers south of the Canadian border, lies the quiet town of Scobie. According to a recent survey, Scobie is among the top 3 hardest to reach small towns in America. But the region's wireless provider, along with many others across rural America, has found itself at odds with US authorities. Niemont Telephone Cooperative relies on Huawei equipment. The Trump administration and the Federal Communications Commission argues that is a security risk and want it removed.
Nobody in their right mind would shut down a network and shut down public safety. Sometimes I equate it to like flying in a jet with 2 engines, and you want to replace one of the engines while you're at 30,000 feet. Probably not a real good idea.
The main push behind the move is the allegation that the equipment could be used as a backdoor for spying.
If any foreign government wanted to spy on us through this type of technology, it wouldn't matter if this equipment is from China or the US or from wherever.
Mike Kilgore says in his experience that threat is overhyped.
In the United States, we have a constitution, we have due process, we're innocent until we're proven guilty and all of that, right? So let's pride in the guilt, but that sort of thing, that sort of guilt is not real apparent to the operators that are using this equipment today.
Although this area is home to some stunning scenery, this is not a lucrative region for cell phone networks to operate, with just 20,000 people living in an area of some 50,000 square kilometres.
Kevin Rasmussen has farmed here for 28 years. A nearby communications tower allows him to keep up to date with the latest planting data, as well as vital weather reports. But more importantly, if the network is shut down, even temporarily, he is concerned about the safety risks.
I've had friends that have had problems before, and thank God they had their phone with them, so they could make that phone call. Maybe they're hurt bad. The other thing is, I guess we've talked about in this community is, you know, we've had some really bad fires in the past, even a couple this year. Without that cell service too, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, wouldn't have got taken care of so quickly.
Carrie Bennett is the General Counsel for the Rural Wireless Association. She says to rip and replace the network would be costly and would take years.
The money is absolutely not available. I make no qualms about this. Our members are relying on universal service support as it is, and we've estimated in our filings with the Federal Communications that it could be anywhere from 3 to 7 years to replace the networks.
Back in Scobie, Mike Kilgore hopes it doesn't come to that, given some of his customers rely on older cellular technology that is not easy to replace. Huge swathes of rural America will be watching developments closely.
The race for UK's next Prime Minister has barely begun after incumbent Prime Minister Theresa May announced her resignation on Friday in a tearful address. Members of the British Conservative Party are already calling for their next leader to be someone capable of leading the country out of the European Union. In front of the 10 Downing Street, the official residence and the office of the British Prime Minister, May expressed her gratitude to have the opportunity to serve the country that she loves. But she couldn't hold back her tears before she finished her emotional announcement, and immediately turned around and walked quickly towards the building, leaving reporters with a saddening back view. After failing to deliver a Brexit deal that can be accepted by the British Parliament, May's own Tory party on Wednesday started a special procedure to force her out and elect a new leader that will automatically become the next British Prime Minister.
So she ends up pleasing nobody. She neither pleases those who want a hard Brexit in her own party and those on the opposition benches and the opposition parties who want a soft Brexit. And in the end, they all vote against her bill, but never in favour of her proposals, but never in favour of anything else.
Right after her announcement, Conservative Party members gathered outside of the Parliament building to discuss about the coming election of the party leader. Many called for a new PM that truly believes in Brexit and could lead the country out of the EU.
Well, this is a sad day in a way, but I've called for a year for the Prime Minister to resign, so I mustn't be a hypocrite. I called for this. What I think is important now is that we rapidly move on to pick a new Prime Minister. someone that voted for Brexit in our referendum 3 years ago, someone that really believes in Brexit, and someone that can lead us out of the European Union as scheduled on the 31st of October.
Among the candidates, Boris Johnson, the former Foreign Secretary who is pro-Brexit, is expected to be one of the front-runners.
That person, to me, there's only one candidate, and that's Boris Johnson, the former Foreign Secretary.
Jeremy Hunt, the current Foreign Secretary who supported Britain remaining in the EU in the 2016 referendum, is also believed to be another candidate. Analysts say that a new PM is expected to be picked by the end of July, but whoever May's successor will be, he or she is going to face the same political chaos brought by the EU withdrawal plan. Now the options the UK has include a no-deal Brexit, a second referendum, cancelling Brexit, or major renegotiation, any one of which is expected to bring more uncertainties to the British political arena.